Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a wonderful morning to you and a splendid week ahead. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And on Newsline this morning, we keep up the analytical process, politically speaking, of course, with growing calls for change to the UNP leadership, SLFP nominations, and departures from due process, diplomatically speaking. And we are in conversation this morning to start the whole week off with Shamindra Ferdinando, the news editor of the Island newspaper. Very good morning to you, Shamindra.
Good morning to you, Faraz. Good morning to you.
Very, very nice of you to pop in on your way to work.
Thank
you. Now then, I wanted to ask you, first things first, I think, what is this business about the Americans and diplomatic process and not being subject to security checks and so on? What's the rule there?
So actually the issue was raised by National Freedom Front leader Vimal Veeravansa recently,
right?
Where he alleged that a group of US personnel, US military personnel attempted to enter Hilton, Colombo Hilton, without being subjected to security checks.
Right.
And he somehow obtained information and he released the photographs of the Americans concerned.
Right.
So it's an issue. It's a huge issue because it's the second such incident. Soon after the Easter Sunday attacks, there was a similar incident.
Yeah.
Where two American personnel were detected with explosive detectors at the Jai Hilton.
Yeah.
And subsequently, the second incident at the Colombo Hilton, where US personnel refused to hand over their bags, I mean the boxes, whatever, and they were moved to the embassy, Mr. Veeravansa alleged. So the Americans have assured the government, they have issued a statement in this regard, but I think there's allegations made by some political parties that the Americans are exploiting the situation.
Right. Well, but what's the rule? If you have diplomatic status, shouldn't the receiving country, in this case, let's say Sri Lanka, shouldn't the Sri Lankan authorities be informed prior notice to say XYZ diplomat is arriving in your country?
For us, the rules are there, but
well, the rules are there to be followed.
The rules are there, but obviously not only the Americans, other major powers, they routinely, go against those rules.
Right.
They violate rules. So it's actually nothing new. I mean, it's happening over the past so many years.
Right.
I mean, you must also remember it's not only here, it's all over the world. So we must realize that in spite of these revelations made by political parties, Mr. Vimal Veeravansa and others, I think the Americans will continue with the operation here.
A bit of bullying, if you ask me.
We cooperate with them, this government. I mean, we sign, we co-sponsor the Geneva resolution against our own armed forces.
We cooperate with their departure from due process. That sounds a bit rubbish to me.
Obviously, I mean, the parliament is not informed of anything happening in this country, right?
Well,
for us, the Geneva resolution was signed in 2015 without parliament being informed.
Well, there you go. There are many things that Parliament isn't informed.
Yeah, Mr. Vijaydas Rajapaksa, former Justice Minister, says the Parliament is the most corrupt institution in the world, in the country, right? So maybe in the world, right?
But there's a lot of infighting too for that coveted position, isn't there? Some people said it was the customs, some people said it was the CB, all sorts of things. Always people say, oh, this is the most corrupt institution, oh, that's the most corrupt institution. It's like the wind. As the wind blows, the coveted title of the most corrupt institution changes.
For us, unlike any other institution, I think when the parliament is corrupt, it's going to cause a lot of problems. there are very serious allegations against members of the parliament. All the political parties in this country are in turmoil. See what is happening in the UMP today, right? With the president elections just weeks away, they are fighting. I mean,
That's, you're bringing me nicely into my main question actually this morning, which is that I wanted to do a little sort of analytical flow, politically speaking. I mean, it's clear to the public at large when we look at television and we listen to radio reports and we read the press, that there is a call, a sort of a popular call for a change of leadership at the United National Party, or at least for Mr. Sajid Premadasa to be nominated the presidential candidate. And we've seen it time and time after again. He started off this in, was it up in the hills? Badulla, and then now
from Badulla, Mathura,
and now
then Kurunagala.
Kurunagala. And everywhere, it's almost, it's on a roll. It may well be an avalanche soon. But that's how often is such popular appeal translated into action?
For us, you know, Mr. Sajid Premadasa, the deputy leader of the UMP, has support among the party, among the members of the UNP, the ordinary people, the voters. But I must tell you, he has already won. He has secured the support of the majority of the parliamentary group. The key ministers are supporting his bid. Now, if you take, say, Mangala Samaravira, Malik Samaravikrama, then Harin Fernando, then Kabir Hashim. Now, Kabir Hashim is the chairman of the UNP, right? Now, when
is that
the print media, when the print media reported over the weekend about Mr. Vikram Singh declaring his intention to contest, Kabir Hashim, Harin Fernando and Ranjit Madhubandar called a media briefing in Colombo and contradicted that. No, the first time we have heard or seen the chairman of the UMP contradicting the position taken up by the leader of the party and the Prime Minister. So, it's a major development, I believe, for us, and I think the deputy leader is gaining a lot of ground, and tomorrow there's going to be a meeting between Mr. Vikram Singh and Mr. Premadasa, and where they have to take a decision, because we are not only talking about the president election. The UNP, the JVP, the SLP, the SLPP, all these political parties have to face LPT Pradesh Sabha election. It's coming in the second week of next month.
Is that like going to be like a litmus test?
Definitely for us. So, so the UNP better take a decision on its presidential candidate, and that person must be given the opportunity to lead the battle for LPT Pradesh Sabha.
I see. Well, we're in conversation with Shamindra Ferdinando, the news editor of the Island newspaper. In response to popular calls and several messages, we are carrying out the name of our guest every so often during the program, so that anyone joining the program will be able to immediately tell who we are in conversation with. Thank you very much. And of course, do send us your questions by SMS 0772 300 305 by SMS, please, and please don't call the number now. Now then, but does this popular move, will it dislodge a leader who's been in power for the last 25 years?
For us, the UMP will have to take a decision. I'm not talking about
but
leadership.
They've had to take a decision for over 26 times. They've lost so many elections.
I mean, I'm talking about this coming election for us. Now, see, actually, for us, the UMP was to form its coalition. It's called National Democratic Front.
Right.
They were to form it on 5th of August
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Right. They wanted to form the coalition
Yeah.
before the SLPP made its announcement. Now, but finally, ultimately, the SLPP, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, announced the former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa as its candidate on August 11th.
Yeah.
Then the JVP made its announcement on 18th of August. Now the UMP, having announced that it would make that it would form the coalition on August 5th, it's yet to
happen.
And
But if we read that business where young Sujiva Sen Singha sent off some amendments, and if you listen to that or read that, you'll see that he's saying that, look, we can't let you, as in his party leader, Wickremesinghe, we can't let you have the ultimate veto on who the candidate is going to be. We want that all settled before we go into the constitution of the National Democratic Front.
Sujiva Senasinghe is right. I'm sure all of us understand the State Minister Senasinghe makes representations on behalf of Sajith Premadasa because he's a member of the team.
Yeah.
Right. So.
But not only him. This is all everybody.
No, it's
else.
a team.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you take the UMP parliamentary team for us, I think 2/3 of the parliamentary group supports Sajith Premadasa. I mean, that's open. All the key people, if you take Pradesh Sabha, the local government, most of the people.
So would it be fair to say that what the Rajapaksas are to the SLPP is what Sajith Premadasa is to the UNP parliamentary group, at least?
Yes, in a way.
Because they want.
Of course, the circumstances are very completely different. But I think the party, if you take the UMP, I mean, it's a strong party, and the UMPers are seeking a change.
But there was something, Sramindra, that Mr. Premadasa said the other day that really was rather almost poignant, actually, because he said, here's me, years and years of service to the party, loyal service, free of allegations of corruption, and only working for the benefit of the people. And yet I'm having such a tough time in convincing the others that I'm ready for leadership.
You're right.
Words to that effect.
The deputy leader is right because at the Kurunegala meeting, lawmaker, what's his name? He's Nalin Bandara.
Yeah.
He declared, he said, he was talking in Sinhala, he was telling that he was basically telling that we are holding these meetings to convince our leadership.
Yeah.
We are not taking on the SLPP, the JVP or Gotabaya
Or not
Rajapaksa.
even convincing the people. Yeah.
He said that their struggle is to convince the leadership, the current leadership, that the opportunity must be given to Sajith Premadasa to contest. That's one hell of admission for us. I mean, you have to convince your party leader and the top leadership.
But as a journalist with years and years of service, you know a thing or two about Ranil Wickremesinghe. I think he's been in Parliament longer than you've been a journalist.
Definitely.
Right? So therefore, you've known Ranil Wickremesinghe all throughout your professional career. What takes it to dislodge him? What is it? What's wrong? Why can't he understand the popular call?
I think for us, he's a shrewd politician. And
shrewd or rude or both?
No, I mean, I think he believes that finally the deputy leader will give up his struggle. Right, this time too. I mean, previously there have been attempts to remove
but not
the
with
leader.
such intensity.
But yes, certainly. But this time, don't forget, for us, in April 2018, a section of the UMP pledged its support to a no faith motion moved by the joint opposition.
Yeah.
It was an operation involving the joint opposition, the SLFP and a section of the UMP.
Yeah.
Mr. Wickremesinghe survived.
Yeah.
I must tell you,
It survived because of the TNA?
they must not underestimate Mr. Wickremesinghe.
Yeah.
Right. So it's up to Sajid Premadasa to continue his struggle.
But honestly, if you look at the wider picture, if you had a contest between the SLPP candidate and Mr. Wickremesinghe, for example, it's almost a foregone conclusion.
No, for us, not only Mr. Wickremesinghe, the UMP will have to answer several issues.
But yes, it starts with the bond.
Definitely.
And it then ends up in the Central Expressway.
And the Easter
And the Easter bombings.
Easter bombings now.
There's no two words about it. When the police chief said that
I
detail,
think for us,
yeah.
I think the SLPP
Yeah.
likes to face Mr. Wickremesinghe in this contest.
Yes, he's their
because they'll be able
opponent
to
of choice.
Yes, because they'll be able to take certain issues up now. Now, yesterday there was this event organized by Vietmaga, where the former national cricketer
Yeah.
Muthaiya Muralidharan
Yeah.
addressed the gathering, where he pledged his support to Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Right.
I mean, he's a Tamil. I don't think people can convince Muralidharan or bribe him. Muralidharan, he declared that they must
Why is that?
elect a person who can ensure, who can guarantee national security. And he recalled how he was shot at in Pakistan, and how he avoided the road leading to the parliament because of the LTT cadres
Yeah.
targeting MPs on their way to the parliament. So I think the UMP must act soon, act swiftly, and take a decision on their candidate soon, because LPT elections coming
Yeah.
within weeks.
You're almost saying that with journalistic glee, because you'll have lots of copy to write now, won't you?
Yeah, I had
lots
to
of other-
write, you had a lot to report, I
Yes.
mean, all the television stations,
Yes,
the media.
report, yeah.
So I think the statement made by Muthaiya Muralidharan is significant. Yes, because he
But
had never
what-
backed any political party before.
Right.
And
But
for
he's
him-
just one person.
Definitely.
He's one person. But my question is an overall question, that in a nation that supposedly loves politics and is always involved in politics, as a country we are, we're very politically minded. I don't know if we are all politically savvy, but for a country like that, and then to have one leader who's in power, he's been in parliament for over 40 years now, and leader of the United National Party for 25 years, and having lost as leader over 26 elections at different fora, it almost beggars belief, doesn't it, that this party, this grand old party, is unable to live up to the norms of real Westminster-style democracy.
For us, Mr. Wickremesinghe took over the party in the immediate aftermath of, soon after the LTT assassinated Ranasinghe Premadasa. Then you had D.B. Wijetunga. So during that time, I think during that time, he won the election in 2001 December,
Yeah.
and there was an issue. And he was removed by Chandrika Bandanaike Kumaratunga. So, but if you discuss the current situation, I think it's high time they take into consideration all the factors and feel the best person who has the support of the parliamentary group. So Sajid Premadasa has that support.
We are in conversation with Shamindra Ferdinando, the news editor of the Island newspaper, and you can send your questions in by SMS 0772 300 305. I'm sure Control Room will be putting these up on your screen. But we've already had several messages, and I've just been looking through some of them. And this one, honestly, I really must read it because it sounds. And there's somebody also trying to telephone us here. You can't do that. But let me read this message. It seems RW and his band of merry men only care about themselves and don't give a for the party and our people. Our nation, as long as they can make money for themselves, they will go down in history as the most hated of them all in time to come.
For us, I think that applies to all members of the all members of parliament and all the political parties. And I must tell you, I must stress, those who are supporting the SLPP candidate, they are also responsible for a lot of base corruption and irregularities, and they have not acknowledged their mistakes. If you take Sri Lankan Airlines, what happened at the National Savings Bank, the People's Bank, you know.
But it's absolutely disgraceful.
Sorry, it's not the
going
NSP, but the People's Bank.
People's Bank, yes,
People's
Bank.
Sorry.
We see the People's Bank giving all sorts of loans willy-nilly, here, there and everywhere. And I don't know what's happened to their risk management committee.
No, for us, when you talk about corruption, I don't see any difference between the UNP, SLP. They're the same, right?
Yes,
utterly corrupt,
yes,
I tell you.
But, you know, we have a chance to make some change. We have a person who apparently the public are, you know, baying for on the side of the UNP things with Sajid Premadasa. I certainly haven't had an opportunity to look into any form of deal or, you know, departure from due process involving Sajid Premadasa.
Yeah, no allegations.
And I don't mean over the last 4 years. I mean for the last 10 years. I haven't come across anything.
But I find fault with Mr. Premadasa for
being so clean.
No, I mean for failing to take some action about this. I mean the situation in the party before. See,
but what can he do? This the work isn't it rather ironic? The leader of the UNP appoints the working committee, and the working committee appoints the UNP leader. You know, it's a no-brainer.
No.
Where there's no democracy there.
For us, my personal opinion here, there's no democracy in any of Sri Lankan political parties, including the SLAP, SLAPP. You know, all the political parties are run by a few people, and other people can cooperate with them or they can leave. You know, I mean, that is why we find the defeated candidates are accommodated on the national list.
Yes.
Where you join the parliament, you come into the parliament, then they can change sides. So they can.
So that's the first thing that needs to be changed.
Yeah, so I think there must be a total system change in this country. In addition to I mean the UNP taking corrective measures immediately and take a decision on its candidate.
One of the messages. Murali is a celebrated Sri Lankan and he is entitled to his political views like all of us. If anyone thinks that Murali is obliged to decide on political stroke national issue based on his race, that is also racism. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no dispute.
There's no dispute about that. Now then, the questions are all coming in. It is known that the U.S. government engaged in covert operations. Whatever was in the bags got into the wrong hands, of course, to whom it was intended can have devastating effects, not to rule out another 21-4. It does seem a bit odd that these people are not subject to security checks at a local level to, you know, obviously it had something that they didn't want the security guards at these hotels to find out.
Yeah.
Then you must have prior notice and prior warning so that they can be taken in through the back door.
For us, major countries, powerful countries, not only the US, the other countries, they do not inform, when they conduct certain operations. All the countries do that. So we
But it's
must
a
take
bit much
precaution.
to claim, in a way, to claim diplomatic immunity after the fact. It's better to have them cleared before.
For us now, see, you take the last presidential election.
Yeah.
After the election, I think in 2016, the U.S. State Department announced that they spend nearly $600 million in Nigeria, Burma, and Sri Lanka to change the government, right? So the funding is taking place. The funding took place. The funding is taking place. They will continue their operations. So it's up to the Sri Lankan government to ensure that they do not do anything inimical to our interests.
Right.
But that does not mean anything, I mean, the way they conduct the operations, they have a free hand, right? See, it's a situation where the US criticized the appointment of the commander of the army. I mean, now, have you ever heard of a similar situation in any part of the I don't think so, Faraz. I don't think so.
Shamindra, I'm going to ask you to pass that over this side, please. Thank you very much. Now that we're in conversation with Shamindra Ferdinando, the news editor of the Island newspaper. Shamindra, I want to ask you this. If people expect us to comply with international rules and regulations, how can we possibly endure it when bigger powers turn up here and impose their own brand? Look, this is us. We ain't going to give our bags for you to look into, and we can do what we like. That's a bit too much. I don't know if President Premadasa Senior, Ranasinghe Premadasa would have endured this sort of thing. What happened to Gladstone?
The times are different for us.
Different times.
Different times for us, and I'm sure it will happen again. It will happen again. It will happen again because just because a political party raised this issue, do you seriously think Americans are going to stop it? I don't think so. I don't think so. See, for us, in this country, in Colombo, the US Embassy told the TNA leader Sambandha to vote for General Sarath Fonseca in 2010. 2010, Sambandhan was told to vote for Fonseca. Now, having accused the army of killing 40,000 people, the same political party had to work for him. And that's how the Americans work. So, we must understand that situation. So, their interference will continue, whatever we say. And I'm sure the certain international, there are certain external factors to this UMP situation also. Don't you think so?
Well, I think so.
Yeah, because see, at the beginning there were 5 people, I think 4 or 5 people fighting for it. There was Mr. Wickramasinghe, then Mr. Premadasa, Mr. Karujaya Surya, General Field Marshal Fonseca, and I saw some report. A Buddhist monk said that we must have a person from Kalutara district as the president. He was referring to monk was referring to Dr. Rajan Senaratne. So many people sought the opportunity to contest 2019 presidential election. So initially, earlier, the electorate felt the fight was between Karujaya Surya and Sajid Premadasa. Now, Mr. Wickramasinghe has declared he wants to contest again because the UMP last fielded a candidate in 2005 for us, 25. That Mr. Wickramasinghe contested 2005 election and 2010 and 2015. The UMP fielded a candidate. Now, the most interesting thing is for us, I took the name. Both last 2010 and 2015, they fielded the candidate under the Hanse symbol.
Yeah.
Right. It was a New Democratic Front. NDF, right? Now this time they are going to form National Democratic Front. Why?
It's just a play on words.
No, actually two different parties. The previous party got into trouble and they had to disband, not disband, to the UMP had to move away from that because the leader of that New Democratic Front, Mr. Shashila Munusingha, was arrested by the police for his alleged involvement in transferring funds from a bank in Taiwan to Sri Lanka. So otherwise, the same political party would have contested this time also.
Well, do you know what? It's the end of half an hour.
Yeah.
So all good things must come to an end. Shamin Ferdinand, we appreciate your presence on Newsline, and we'll continue to report on the analytical flow, if you like, politically speaking. And of course, we need to get in touch with Mr. Tilak Marapana and get his take on all these events that is happening on a diplomatic front and so on. And we'll bring you an update. If you watch the news tonight, hopefully we'll have a segment dealing with that. But Shamin Ferdinand, thank you very much for being on Newsline. Wish you a great week ahead, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.